Yesterday, President Trump fired Acting Attorney General Sally Yates in an act which Senator Chuck Schumer called chilling. What I consider chilling is an attorney general who is an acting attorney general, not appointed by the president, not confirmed by the Senate, someone who was filling in temporarily, took it upon herself to not only disobey, but to countermand an order issued by the president. This is an act of sedition. This is an act of insubordination. This is something that should not be left unchallenged. Not only should she be fired, she should be brought up on charges. That's seditious, what she just did. And this cannot be allowed to happen again. When the President of the United States issues an executive order, it is to be followed, whether or not you like it or not. President Obama issued plenty of executive orders that were questionable and some that were outright illegal. You challenge it in court or you challenge it in the Congress, but you do not challenge it that way, by insubordinate orders. There is nothing but hypocrisy coming from the left right now. They're just oozing with hypocritical bullshit. Chuck Schumer in 2015 stated that there needs to be a pause on the refugee program. But today, he calls Trump's pause un-American. President Obama, when he was president, issued a pause on immigration from Iraq in 2011. Nobody protested. Nobody called it un-American. Nobody challenged it. The list of 7 countries that now comprise the list of countries that President Trump is issuing a temporary ban on, this is a list that was compiled by President Obama during his administration. And yet now Obama stated today that he fundamentally opposes Trump's executive order. It's funny how he could do things, but Trump can't do them. How he could issue executive orders that were questionable and outright illegal and expected everybody to just shut up and go along with it. But right away, he's jumping right on the bandwagon to criticize Trump. And incidentally, shouldn't he be following the example set by presidents of the past by riding off into the sunset and staying out of political life for at least for the near future? All of our past presidents, not only George Bush, but I can't remember any past president in my lifetime that interfered with the actions of the new president. Is this what we're to expect from Obama now? We're going to have a shadow presidency. He's going to be issuing his opinions every time he disagrees. That is just wrong. And I would hope that this guy would just retire and go play golf somewhere and let the country be run now by the current president, the president that was put into office by the people of this country and the Electoral College that acted in a lawful and legal manner. The protests that you're seeing, they're not spontaneous uprisings. Do you think that just overnight, literally, Trump issued an executive order, and by the end of the night, there were thousands of people at the airport? You think that that just happened spontaneously? No. These are organized professional agitators. They're paid to be there, many of them. Some of them may be people who just gathered because they saw a gathering. But by and large, these protests are organized, and we're going to continue to see them. Every time Trump does something or signs an executive order or signs a bill that the left doesn't like, we're going to see these professional agitators. They're going to keep on coming out of the woodwork. Now, what Trump did is absolutely within his rights and within his powers under the Constitution as President of the United States. The Immigration Act of 1952 gives the president the right to bar entry of any alien or class of aliens whose actions are detrimental to the interests of the United States and the American people. It actually is the president's responsibility to make that judgment call. I didn't fault Obama when he banned Iraqis from coming here because there was a possibility of former insurgents blending in with the refugees, getting into the United States, and then sending weapons back to the insurgents. This was something that they saw unfolding, and he took action, and his actions were correct. You see, I'm not partisan in that respect when it comes to the safety of the American people and the security of our borders. There is no room for partisan politics. You do what's right. You do what's right. And it's not something that's never happened before. We've had past presidents that have banned people from coming here, and sometimes not so justly. Jimmy Carter banned Iranians from coming into this country after the Iranian takeover of the U.S. Embassy. I agreed with that. However, you go back in history a little bit further back, and during World War II, good old FDR, same guy that sent the Japanese into internment camps, barred German Jews from coming into this country as refugees, stating as his reason the probability that Nazi saboteurs would infiltrate the refugee population. This is nothing new. This has happened over and over again throughout history. The refugee program, people are saying that there's no religious test for coming into this country. And yes, that is correct. There is no religious test. You don't ban anybody just because they're a member of this religion or that, or they believe this way or that way. However, the refugee program was designed to assist the people with the greatest need, those who are in the highest probability of being persecuted or killed in their homeland are the ones who get top priority. And this is something that did not happen under Obama. He gave priority to Muslims who were really at the bottom of the ladder when it comes to the risk factor. We're not suggesting putting Christians to the top of the list because they're Christians. We're suggesting putting Christians to the top of the list because Muslims are killing them because they're Christians. They're being persecuted systematically and hunted to the brink of genocide, to the point where in another 10 years there'll be no Christian community in the Mideast anymore, which is tragic because they are the oldest Christians in the world. Christianity began in the Mideast. To sit here and just allow Christianity to be wiped out in the Mideast, the Yazidi population to be decimated. They were chased from their villages up to the side of a mountain, and Obama did absolutely nothing for them, but allowed their tormentors to come into this country in large numbers without vetting them and finding out who they are. It's not like you can punch in somebody's social security number in a data bank somewhere in Syria and find out their background. They don't have data banks like that. There's nothing but chaos there, and you cannot effectively vet somebody unless you vet them one by one with very, very extensive interviews and finding out who you are, where you come from, who you're related to, who your friends are, what your affiliations were, what are your intentions when you come into the United States, how do you feel about the American people, do you respect the American flag, do you feel that Sharia law is appropriate in the United States? These are questions we have a right to ask. Because no, there is no litmus test that says Muslims can't come into the United States. But if you are a proponent of Sharia law, you can't come into the United States. That is just common sense. It is inconsistent with the U.S. Constitution and the American way of life. And the president is doing what should have been done a long time ago. And that is, in the simplest possible manner, protecting the American people and securing our borders.